Is our government working again? And will we have a 50-year mortgage? Let's talk about it on Today in Mortgages. Hey, what's going on, Dreammakers? Welcome back to the show. We're talking about what's real, what's hype, and we should actually be paying attention to out there in the world of mortgage and real estate news. Today in Mortgage, Rich Jefferson back with me again today. How you doing, Rich?
I'm doing good. Great
Yeah,
weekend.
it's getting
Looking forward for the new week.
definitely. It's getting a little chilly here in Houston, and people are already getting all those Christmas lights on the street. So we are trying our hardest to keep the kids away from Christmas music until after Thanksgiving, but it's coming fast.
Yeah, well, listen, I spent the last few days in airports, and the airports already have Christmas going on. So we're going to see it. In fact, I have my lights up right now, and my wife's fighting me to turn them on. So I just can't possibly do it. I got to have a few neighbors do it before I do.
Well, Rich, I know you said you spent some time in airports, and you were telling me before the show that you had firsthand experience of some flight cancellations and delays. Sorry to hear that, but hopefully it sounds like we are getting back to normal. We have Senate finally passed the continuing resolution with some caveats last night, and it looks like that deal will probably get finalized over the course of this week. So, Rich, that's good news just in general for the economy, but does that have any implications on our industry right now?
Well, technically, it hasn't passed. The Senate's going to pass it on to the House. The House is a mess, too. So we'll see what happens. But hopefully it does, because the airports, everybody knew that once people were having a challenge in airports, that we're likely to see a decision to move forward with opening the government, because just last week for me was terrible. I ended up having to drive home from Vegas, and after having many cancellations, and just didn't want to spend the night in the Vegas airport with all the slot machines. So I drove home, but I'm glad we're moving forward with opening up the government. That's important.
Yeah, and of course on our end, hopefully that means we'll start being able to issue those flood policies, especially here in Houston, and just kind of get back to normal on several of the small roadblocks that were just being ankle biter, annoying things that we had to deal with. Rich, that's good news. We have some other interesting news you sent me and has been hitting a lot of headlines over the weekend, and it's this 50-year mortgage that Donald Trump is proposing. So the article we have today is from Newsweek. It says, Donald Trump proposing 50-year mortgages sparks backlash. So a couple things in that headline. Donald Trump, 50-year mortgage, backlash. Let's hit all three of those. What has the president said about this? And just tell us in general what a 50-year mortgage would look like and what that would mean.
Well, first, it technically hasn't been announced. It was a Trump social, a True Social post. So we get a lot from the president from True Social. So whether it moves forward or not, I don't know, but it's interesting. It's definitely interesting. It would help affordability a little bit. But there's a lot of things that would need to happen before that's even a product that's available. One, it doesn't comply with Dodd-Frank. It doesn't comply with, qualified mortgages. A 50-year term technically is a non-QM loan right now. So that has to go through legislation. That has to go through Congress, and then regulators need to get out there, and the changes need to happen. We're far away from that. But it's a good idea. I mean, other countries are doing it to help with affordability, but it's not, I wish it was as good as it seems, because a 50-year term is going to have a higher interest rate than a 30-year, just like a 30-year has a higher interest rate than a 15-year. So while I think I gave an example over the weekend on my socials, like a 6.5% interest rate on a $500,000 loan with a 30-year term compared to a 50-year term is a $300 a month difference. That's significant. So especially for young buyers, that's more buying power. They can now get in the market and buy the average. I think the average home sale in the nation is like $416,000 right now. So that opens it up. The problem is the 50-year mortgage is not going to be the same price, same rate as a 30-year mortgage. So it's going to chisel into that savings.
So, Rich, in the headline, it had the word backlash. Is that what the backlash has been about, or is there other things that are being pushed back on with this 50-year mortgage?
Well, listen, I can speak. Here's what the people are saying. I did a short on YouTube, and lots of commentary about how let's just wait for the banks to take more interest from homeowners. So that's a real thing. Like, people really believe that. Oh, let's lock them in. You're never going to make any principal reduction, because you're paying so much interest for some, it's a lot of interest over 50 years. But in all reality, Michael, people keep loans. They're going to either sell, well, they're going to sell within 10 years generally, but they're definitely going to refinance in 5 to 7 years. That's just our history. People either buy or sell, rather, or refinance within 5 to 7 years. So who cares that it's 50? Me, 50 years. Okay, so you take the lower payment, and as you get different jobs and earn more money, you start to apply more to principal, and you dig yourself out of that. There's a way to do that. We do it today with 30 years. So why couldn't we do it with a 50? I don't know. I like the idea of having another option. It's not right for everybody, but it's right for some. And that's the idea, is how do we give some more people the opportunity to buy and be a homeowner today in the United States? So I'm not bashing the idea. I'm saying I think it's a great idea, and I think it's a great option and a program for certain home buyers, but we have a long way to go to get it to be a viable, available option today.
Absolutely, Rich. I mean, if you're out there buying a home looking at a 15 versus a 30, maybe at the 15, you're looking at total cost of ownership. You're going to be paying less interest over the life of that loan. But with a 30 year, like you said, you have a lot lower payment month to month. And so if you're buying that first home and you know you're going to be there for 5, 7, 10 years, it doesn't make that big of a difference, because, the next one, then you can get into that 15. Same thing with a 50. You could go 50 and then upgrade to a 30 in a refinance, or maybe when you move into that second home. It just gives you that opportunity to buy now and be able to afford the payment, so you can start building that equity. And that's what you're saying, right, Rich?
Right. Yes. Give them an option. Listen, this is where wealth is built for your average American. It's in real estate, and it's in their primary home. We need to give people a pathway to that wealth. And if it's a 50 year, give them a 50 year. Like, okay, we have to explain the downsides of a 50, but likely they're only going to keep the mortgage for 5 to 7 years anyway. So let's give people an option, a pathway to home ownership. And the more options we can offer, the better.
Yeah, optionality and competition in the market is a great thing. And Rich, real quick, another place we think that everyone out there should have optionality is in their career and making the best decisions about how they personally can succeed in that career. That's why we put together a loan officer benchmark survey for our viewers and listeners out there to be able to take this free survey and get a free report that tells them where they stand in relation to their peers in the industry. You can take that free survey at todayinmortgages.com. The link is below, and you will get a free report when the survey closes that benchmarks you and tells you where you stand. You can make better decisions about your career and make sure that you're on the right path to success. Rich, coming back to this 50-year loan, it doesn't exist yet. What are we looking at, and what do you think the chances are of this happening?
I like our chances. It's an option. With all the struggles that homeowners are being a homeowner today, right? The rising costs of the real estate taxes in a lot of markets, and the rising cost of homeowners insurance, that's chiseled into the ability to get qualified for a mortgage. It's a lot of extra expense aside from the rise in the home prices. So there's a lot of things against young buyers today, and this will help. But there's still a long legislative path. You've seen that we're having a hard time just getting the government open. So we got to once that happens, then it's got to be a formal proposal to get this done through Congress. It's got to be legislated. It's got to be voted on. It's got to be put into the Dodd-Frank Act. These are things that have to happen, and it's just not going to happen overnight, but it may be something available next year.
Well, Rich, we'll see how these things shake out. We don't really have a lot of information on which sides would support this, if it could be a bipartisan effort, but it seems like something that, hey, here's a solution that is viable, that will help people be able to afford those monthly payments, buy a house, and hopefully, have their part of the American dream. Rich, any final words you want to say on this or anything else going on, which there is a lot in the economy right now?
There sure is. But listen, if you're a viewer looking at this, we're doing this just to break down our industry news and giving you options of what. But don't get bogged down in the negative news cycles. Just pay attention to the stuff that matters to you and move forward in a positive way.
Rich is always bringing the positive vibes here at the network. If you guys are interested in learning more about the best network in mortgage, how you can advance your career here, click that grow link below. Thanks so much for watching and listening with us today. We appreciate you guys out there wherever you are. We'll see you next time on Today in Mortgages. Today in Mortgages is produced by Network Funding LP, which is an equal housing lender, NMLS 2297. The content of this program is meant to be a commentary on mortgage and real estate news, and any discussion of rates and or products should not be taken as an individual mortgage or home buying advice or pricing estimates. And any commentary on this show should not be considered a promise to make a loan. All applicants for a loan must qualify, and you should consult a professional regarding your individual loan scenarios for your financial situation. Visit our website at nflp.com/licenses for all state licensing and other legal information.